Coward! Cry!
Period believed to be.
I like how it's just jumping from, you can keep it going. It's just jumping from photo to photo to photo to photo that it's like, isn't actually showing anything being related to anything else. It's just images of things that
with
are
a circle drawn somewhere.
Drawn somewhere that is then loosely connected to something. And again, over 70% of these photos are literally just screenshots of a Wikipedia page.
Steven, to be fair, we are still in the section where he's just setting it up. He's gonna give the evidence. I swear.
It's possible to create a fully formed human without the use of sex.
Oh yeah, also he's on to homunculuses now.
Also,
to what?
The Cabbage Patch Kids.
Homunculi.
Oh, ever made. Just,
well, Aiden, he said it was.
What?
He said it was.
He did. He's wrong.
That must be, he must be right.
This is the one thing I know is in my zone.
What's the first film ever made?
It was a video of a train arriving at a station.
Man, this really just hits you in two places, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. The first film was literally just like, it was like 8 seconds.
Yeah,
and it was a train arriving at a station. And at that point, it was so crazy to people.
And like a demon's ass, like that's where that image is of the idea of licking, because it was the idea of the unclean and the evil, and like that's the whole point. So if the opposite of pure and good is filthy and unclean.
Yeah, but Steven, that's pin the tail on the donkey.
That's not pin the tail on the fucking donkey. That's licking an asshole. That is literally the licking of an asshole.
Actually secretly initiated into their club. And this phenomena of Tartaria, lost buildings, and civilizations is not just with the US. It was actually the same thing in every European city as well. It's everywhere. This gets into the idea that
it shows Saigon where the French, hold on, no. It showed like, oh, these buildings are everywhere because the French
on something than a rat. So they tore apart every single room in the house, looked through all of their possessions, even just sifting through clothing, making sure there were no animals in it, and there was no rat. On top of all of this, it wasn't just the rat scratching sounds anymore. There were also other new performances, as Richard Bell calls them, every night. The sounds themselves diversified, changing from scratching to choking, lip smacking, stones falling, chains dragging, all sorts of creepy, horror movie noises. If this were something that were a story from 10 years ago, I would assume somebody had a really well-placed Bluetooth speaker, but considering this is 1818, I'm thinking that may be out of the question. At first, all of this was just auditory hallucinations, basically, but eventually it started to physically interact with the family. At first, slowly pulling people's blankets off of them as they slept, and then one night, it started to twist at Richard Bell's hair and then yanked. And then it did the same thing to his brother, and then his other brother, and then his other brother, and then his sister, and then his mom, and then his dad. The whole family. The entire family was spooked by this, and John Bell and his wife ended up staying up for the rest of the night to make sure that nothing was in the house with them. Now, this incident where it started to physically attack them seems to have been a turning point, because it was here that they decided to, for the first time, open up to somebody outside of the family about this. They had been keeping it a secret because nobody wants to tell the community in 1818 that there's a demon in the house. That's not great for your reputation. So, they went and told their friends the Johnsons, or the Johnstons, depending on which account you read. James Bell Sr. invited Mr. Johnson and his wife over, and they basically just wanted them to experience what they were experiencing. As well, James Johnson was a faith leader in the community, a well-read preacher, and they thought maybe if we have him bless the house and bless our family, it'll help us with whatever's going on here, because they had some inkling that it was paranormal. Johnson led a prayer before dinner, directly addressed the issue at hand, and then they all retired to their respective rooms. In most horror movies, this would be the point at which the demon takes a night off and doesn't do anything to anybody, so that everybody else in the community just assumes that this family is insane. This would, of course, isolate them from their friends and neighbors and make them more vulnerable. The demon already seems to be trying to keep them awake, whatever it is, but they're still not sure that this is an intelligent presence, so much as just a malevolent energy. If anyone was expecting the demon to do the typical Hollywood thing and take the night off, you are going to be sorely mistaken, because it threw the kitchen sink at the Johnsons. It showed them every single thing that it had done to the Bells in the time that it had been there, and they were startled, to say the least. And to Johnson, this implied that it was an intelligent force. that it had recognized why he was there, and that the reason it was doing this was to assert its power. So he asked it very directly, "In the name of the Lord, what or who are you? What do you want? And why are you here?" I would like to point out that James Johnson was a better ghost hunter than most people on YouTube. Although really with paranormal stuff, what you want to do is ask yes or no questions or discrete things like, you know, stuff with numerical answers, which is what they ended up doing, but we'll get to that. Now, this invocation of the Lord's name and the direct question, the interaction, seemed to have quieted the entity, whatever it was, for a brief moment, and then it just returned with even more violence. And that violence was particularly directed at Elizabeth Bell, who also went by Betsy, or it seems that specifically whatever this thing was, it eventually took to calling her that. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. She began to feel as though she was being slapped by invisible hands, that her hair was being yanked. It was becoming very clear that this was more than the Bells could handle on their own. They needed help. After that evening's end, Johnson told Bell that he did believe this was an intelligent entity, that it was supernatural, paranormal, or preternatural in essence, in principle, in function, and that it was entirely beyond his comprehension. As such, he suggested that they tell the broader community because more minds might come to a conclusion more quickly. Bell obliged, and quickly news was spread. Committees